So there is one thing that's been requested a lot in my channel lately, is because of the FAMAS gameplay that I put up a few days ago, and a lot of you guys enjoy it, right? Plus I've been playing a lot with this build on streams. First I did it was on a solo PvP on the Dark Zone, and I did really well with this build. A lot of you guys enjoyed it, and then I played also in a second stream on the conflict with this build also, and you guys enjoyed it because this build actually shreds. But one thing to keep in mind though when you're gonna be watching this build video, this is not the meta, alright? This is not the meta. This build is really hard to use because it's mostly focused on headshot damage, and it's hard to survive with this build. So this is something different, something outside of the box. If you want to try something that's not from the meta, this is the build that I have for you if you want to give it a try. I enjoy using this build. I'm still making it different versions of this build without having the meta. So I fought against Clutch with this build and I've won most of the fights, not all of them. If you guys want to check this build in action, just go and check my video where I have the FAMAS best assault rifle. On that video I'm basically using only this build, and yeah. Alright guys, so this is gonna be the build. Like I said, this is something different. This is not the meta at all. So I'm gonna explain the build as I go, but let's start with piece by piece. That way you guys can see exactly what I have, and yeah, we go from there, right? So let's start off with a mask. So for the mask we have a Wyvern wear. Now before, as you guys saw in the video, I was using this mask right here. It has this talent right here, dial it in while aiming, gain 15% weapon stability. Now this is not bad at all though. Actually I never used it before, and then when I used it I was actually enjoying it because it makes your weapon really stable, almost like a laser beam, right? So it's really good, especially on console, right? The reason why I was using this because I need to have 2 reds on this mask, and this was the only mask that I had that had 2 reds until I found this mask right here, which has the new talent Concussion. Headshot grants plus 15% headshot damage for 2 seconds and 5 seconds for marksman rifles. So those 2 seconds are for any other gun other than marksman rifle, but think about it, with a AR or any other automatic weapon, you're gonna get that damage proccing all the time as long as you're hitting the headshot, right? Because it refreshes as long as you keep hitting. So you basically have 15 headshot damage as long as you're hitting your headshots. The attributes we have in here is going to be 2 reds. One is 23% damage to elite. Now we do not care about damage to elite. This is a PvP build, but there is only 2 type of red attributes on the mask. It's going to be damage to elite or crit chance, right? So we need 2 of them. So we're going to have that damage to elite in there just to have that red. The second red attribute is going to be 8% critical hit chance. And by having a Wyvern wear, of course, by having one piece, we have 7% critical hit damage also on this mask. Moving on for the chest piece, we have a Gila Guard. We have 2 Gila Guards on this build, and the first one is the chest piece. Now, by having 2 sets of Gila Guard, we have 5% total armor and 20% hazard protection. Now, hazard protection is actually very good on this patch, Title Update 6, because there's a lot of bleed out there, right? And Secret Mines and Hive and stuff like that. So hazard protection is the best that you can have right now on PvP builds. Now, on this chest piece itself, I have 3 attributes, 2 blues and 1 red. The 2 blues are 13% total armor, which is very important to make this build a little bit tanky, and 22,000 armor. The red is going to be 15% weapon damage. This is something that I have since Title Update 4 or Title Update 5, I don't know, but I have this a long time ago. So I have 15% weapon damage in here. That's helped me a lot to get that 19.7k per bullet on my FAMAS. The talent is going to be Berserk, which gives you 8% weapon damage for every 20% of max armor depleted, and it requires 7 reds. It works with shotgun, SMG, LMG, and assault rifles. One thing to notice though right now is looking red is because I do not have my assault rifle drawn, right? So if you do not have any of these guns drawn or in your hand, it looks like it's not activated. But when you are in the fight, right, when you have one of these on your hand, it will activate and the talent will work. So for the mods on this Gila Guard, we have a utility and 2 defensive slots. So we have this utility right here just because it has 5.5% reload speed. That's all I'm looking in there. And then for the defensive mod slots, we have basically 3000 armor with 3% total armor. It's very important you have this type of mods that have armor and total armor on it. The second mod is going to be 2300 armor, 3% total armor and 6,600 health. This is a very good mod right here. I don't know where I got it, but I wish if I had more of this, right? Has armor and health on it with total armor. That's the best one. Moving down for the holster, that's going to be the second Gila Guard on this build. Like I said, it gives us 5% total armor, 20% hazard protection. For the attributes on this holster, we have 1 blue and 1 red. The blue is going to be 44,000 health, which is great amount of health on the holster. I don't know what's the max, but I believe this is my max that I got on the build. 7% crit chance on that red. Another great thing about the Gila Guard that I love about this holster is because they come with 2 attributes on top and then 2 mod slots for red attributes, right? So these offensive mod slots are 1% weapon damage, 1% damage to armor, 4% assault rifle damage. The second one, 2% weapon damage, 4% assault rifle damage. So all of those is gonna add up for that 19.7k damage to our FAMAS. Moving up to the backpack, we have a 511 brand set in here. Now, this is not specific to this build. I wish if I had something else in here. Something like, for example, Richard and Kaiser to get that 10% hazard protection, which I do have this one, but the way I have this build set up, it's not really on my liking, right? It's gonna give me more health, but it's cut down my armor a lot, which I do not want for this specific build. This right here is for something different, right? So for our backpack, like I said, we have the 511 tactical. It gives us 5% protection from elite, which we don't care. It's not a PvE build. But the reason we're using this is because of the attributes and the talents itself. So we have an attributes, 2 blues and 1 red. The red is going to be 3% weapon damage. I wish this was higher. Unfortunately, it's not because I had to roll this one down here, right? So on the 2 blues, we have 20,000 health, which is great amount of health. And I have a 22,000 armor. So both are a really good amount, right? Instead of having one really high, I prefer having both like on a good amount. For the talents, we have the new talent Spark, damaging enemies with skills or explosives grant plus 15% weapon damage for 15 seconds. It requires 9 reds, and that's why we need those reds to proc this talent on the backpack, right? There's different ways I'm proccing this talent. One is gonna be my mercenaries on my secondary, which has that holster talent, and also I have my strike drone that does damage over time to the enemies. That way I can proc this talent also. The second talent is gonna be hardened plus 15% armor, so adding up to that 22,000 armor is gonna give us more armor on this build. This backpack only has 1 defensive mod slot. It has 3,500 armor, 3.5% total armor, and 5% explosive resistance. So this mod actually is very good though. It has a lot of good stuff for PvP. Explosive resistance, total armor, and armor. So very good mod. Lucky I got one of those. Moving down for the gloves, we have a Ferris Group AB. For having one of them, you get 10% assault rifle damage, very important for this build, right? Because we're running with a AR. The attribute is going to be 2 reds, 6% SMG damage, which we don't care in here. I wish if it was crit chance though. I'm trying to find something that has crit chance for the same gloves, but yeah, unfortunately it's going to depend on my RNG. Then the second red is going to be plus 11% assault rifle damage. Now the talent is going to be very specific for this build. Instead of going with devastating, we have Precise. Precise gives us plus 15% headshot damage, and that's huge for this build because we're focusing on headshots, right? Maybe if you want to make something similar to this, you do not want to go with Precise. You don't want to go with headshot damage, right? Just go with devastating. That gives you plus 5% weapon damage. But for me, I think the best option in here is going to be Precise for this build. Last but not least, we have the Kneepads, and it's gonna be actually a named item, right? It's gonna be the Murakami Industries and is the Emperor's Guard named item. Now, this named item has a perfectly cloaked, which we're gonna get that in a second. So by having a Murakami brand set, we get plus 8% total health, and then attribute we have plus 11.5% total armor, which is very good. Now the talent perfect cloak. The cloak itself, I've been using it since talent update 5. A lot of people were sleeping on this talent right here before, and now they're using it a lot more often, right? This was one of my favorite talents on the Kneepads. When your armor is depleted, nearby enemy skills are disrupted for 15 seconds, can occur once every 15 seconds. And this will help you destroy those defender drones, seeker mine, hive, whatever that's close to you when your armor is depleted. So this is very useful. Now before I go, just to show you the difference between the perfect cloak and the normal cloak. So the normal cloak, when your armor is depleted, nearby enemy skills are disrupted for 10 seconds, can occur once every 30 seconds. So you can proc it every 30 seconds and it will stay up for only 10 seconds. But with the perfect cloak, you can proc it every 15 seconds and it will stay up for longer, right? For 15 seconds. So that's the difference between them. So I'll take that difference any day. Now with that said, let's move on for the guns. So the guns, of course, of this build is going to be the FAMAS, the best AR as of right now in the game. And yeah, it's just really good. So this specific FAMAS that I have, it has 19.7k damage per bullet on this build. It has 990 RPM with a 50 on the mag. The talent that I use on this FAMAS is gonna be Ranger. Every 5 meters you are from the target grants plus 2% weapon damage. Allegro plus 10% rate of fire, and cannon, which we do not care, right? Now, Ranger, why am I using that? Because I'm playing solo, I need to stay far away from my enemies. One big mistake that I see players playing on the Division, especially when they solo, it's all about face tanking. So what they do, they go in the face of an enemy where there is a bunch of people and they shoot them and thinking they are the best player, right? No, you gotta play smart, you gotta play from far. Especially if you are solo, you're gonna try to take your enemies out from far before they reach to you, because if 4 players focus fire on you, you're basically gonna die, right? That's it. And that's how it works. The build's not gonna make you the best player. The mods. So the mods that I use on this build, so starting with the scope, or I should say the reflex sight, is gonna give us 5% critical hit chance. On the underbarrel we have this laser point that gives us plus 5% critical hit chance. Also, you could go with 10% accuracy. I'm trying that. It kind of works nice too, but for now I'm using the critical hit chance. On the muzzle, we have this compensator 5.5 that gives us 10% stability. There is others option in here, but for now, this is the best that I got, so I'll just go with that. And then last but not least, we have on the magazine, we have the sturdy extended magazine 5.5, which gives us plus 20 rounds and minus 10% reload speed. The secondary is gonna be the Merciless. Now in here, I could go with this, right, Nemesis. By going with Nemesis, I will get the holster talent Preparation, while holster gain plus 15% headshot damage when scoped with your current weapon. So that's actually, it works very well on this build. So there is 2 options in here. You can go with any of these. Sometimes I put the Nemesis, sometimes I put the Merciless. Now let's move on for the skills, right? The skills in here, nothing too important, but same time they are part of the build. So I use the striker drone just to kind of give me that proc on the backpack, but there is different options in here. You could go with the hive, stinger hive, which is this one right here. You have the turret or the seeker mine, anything, right? But I use the drone because the drone can fly around and actually focus on an enemy. As long as the drone is hitting, that talent on the backpack is still active, right? So that's why I use the drone. And then the second skill is actually going to be the Mender Seeker Mine. This Seeker Mine right here, I started using it a lot more on TO6 though. I'm new to using this Seeker Mine and I'm liking it a lot though. It helps me stay focusing on shooting and it keeps dropping that healing for me in the ground. So I like using it and it's been very great. So far I'm using it for this build. Now taking a look at the stats, we're gonna go and scroll down. You guys can stop if you want, stop the video to check it out, but I'm gonna stop right here. So on the weapons, on these FAMAS we have 19.7k weapon damage on the FAMAS, 13.5k PvP damage, that's gonna be on conflict and normalized dark zone, 25% crit chance, 32% crit damage, 70% headshot damage. That's before our concussion activates, which is gonna be a total of 85% headshot damage, and if we are using the nemesis, we're gonna get plus 15% headshot damage. So that's gonna be a total of 30% headshot damage that we can add up to this 70% headshot damage, right? So we have a potential in here going from 70 to 85 or 100% headshot damage. For the offense stats, we have 21% all weapon damage, 44% assault rifle damage. Those two together is gonna be a 65% weapon damage to our FAMAS. And then down here we have also 1% armor damage, and of course the passive talent from the assault rifle, 29% health damage. Well guys, that's the build. That's what I've been using lately, and you guys been asking for it, right? So that's the build right there. You guys let me know what you guys think of the build, if you guys enjoyed it or not. It's something different. It's not the meta. Definitely outside of the box thinking and just putting something together that gives you damage instead of the meta, right? So that's my build that I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna make different versions of this. One with more resin protection, one with more toughness overall, right? So expect more versions of this or similar to this. That's not the meta in the game right now, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for all the support lately. We've been crushing it with that support. I appreciate all of that. And yeah, I hope I see you guys soon enough, probably on the stream. And yeah, have a good day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.